Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out to our East Region Town Hall meeting. We don't have a quorum today as far as being able to take action on anything or to do any official business, voting or making any decisions, lack of quorum today. But we are going to just have a regular little town hall get together here and we can discuss things. We just can't move forward with anything due to not having enough people on the board today. Which I will throw this out there once again. We have a vacancy on the board. And if anybody has a New Year's resolution to join us up here, just talk to myself or Supervisor Crandall. We're always looking for people to sit up here with us so that we don't run into these problems like quorum issues and things. Okay, so basically we don't have to do roll call or anything like that. Let's just...
EPA?
Yeah, let's do the, or the Superfund site?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can't approve the minutes or anything like that. So no, we'll skip to number 5 here and just kind of discuss. I'll turn it over to Holly because she had like three or four items on this agenda to discuss with us anyways. So Holly, the floor is yours.
Yes.
It's better, yes.
Oh, okay, thanks. Probably. Okay, so the EPA released their record of decision and selected a cleanup plan in December for the Superfund site after reviewing numerous comments from agencies and the public, both written and from meetings. It is, I do have information. Is that there? Okay. Okay, thanks. I do have information on it over here on the table if you want to get it. But basically, and there is a map showing what they propose. It's 150 pages of decision. It's 90 pages of response to agency comments, so I'm not even going to go through it. But the way I understand it, because I wasn't going to read it all, the proposed option is estimated to move 1 million cubic yards of soil, with 250,000 cubic yards of clean soil imported, which means it's going to be 20,000 truck trips a day, which is 20,000 truck trips, averaging 50 a day. There is a map showing some of that on the table. If you were here before, E.R.T.H sent in a letter to the EPA to be included in their decision making with concerns about road maintenance out on Sulphur Bank Drive. Airborne particles, traffic control, stormwater management. They also requested that the EPA look into soil sourcing from Spring Valley and Keys dredging. The proposed plan is estimated to cost somewhere between $65 million and $135 million. So because of that, E.R.T.H requested that emphasis be placed on sourcing local contractor services and goods locally. Plans are to begin the cleanup activities on the residential soils as soon as the winter-spring of 2025. In the interim, they will be preparing further design plans and a transportation road plan. So that's it. If anyone has any questions? No?
Thank you. And the next 2 are yours as well.
Okay, I think 3. Okay, shoreline area plan update. I think I had mentioned a couple of times, we are part of the shoreline area community plan. I was originally on the committee. This was back in 2009, I believe. And this is basically, this is a subsection of the general plan, which is the plan that kind of rules the county. EJ probably can talk about that more. The shoreline is a community plan that specifically deals with the area that we live in. And there's some information over there too. But basically it talks about all different things, such as, it's basically a guide for long-term growth and development, and it covers Lucerne, Clear Lake Oaks, Glen Haven, Spring Valley, county areas down to Clear Lake, and then over to the Yolo County border. The plan addresses natural resources, public safety, community development, services, and land use. And it's one of 8 planning areas in the Lake County General Plan. The county has hired a consultant to update the general plan and all the area plans concurrently. CDD, Community Development Department, is meeting with them, and they're currently in a data gathering phase. But the plans are to have community meetings starting this spring in each of the regions to discuss the plan. I have a timeline over there that's attached. They currently plan to have 3 different meetings here. I think one's public, maybe a couple of them are Zoom. And it's going to be timed with climate resiliency, which is also going to be included in the general plan. I bring this up a lot because this is really, really important to our area. This is the guide that the Planning Commission and Community Development use when they decide whether projects can go forward or if they fit into the criteria. And so it's really important that we as a community take a look at this and see if there's areas that we feel good about or that we don't feel good about. And I think it's something that we need to start thinking about before the meetings coming up this spring. For instance, one thing that's very important to me is protecting the view shed. Protecting the view shed from the lake and looking at the lake. And some of the other things they have special plans for the downtown surrounding Nylander Plaza, et cetera, which is supposed to be a planned commercial development. I don't know that that's really feasible. There are things like that that really need to be brought up again because things that may have been relevant back in 2009 may not be relevant now, or other things may be. So anyway, I encourage you, if anybody, EJ, were you able to post the shoreline plan? Okay. So it's okay. So this is on Facebook now. If anybody wants to take a look at it, and if anybody is interested in finding out more about it or talking about it, you can contact me at rtnc@sonic.net. I can write that down over there. Anyway, does anyone have any plans, any questions on this?
There was a question from Zoom.
Okay.
And Terry, if you can hear us, go ahead and ask your question. Unmute and ask your question. Go ahead and unmute, Terry.
If she comes back, if she makes it on there, we can come back to her question. Yeah, no worries. I'd like to put a little bit of information out there about the general plans and things. Cities have them, counties have them, they are updated. They suggest, I think, what is it, Supervisor Crandall, every 5 years? It might be different for the county. They recommend 5 to 10 years, I think, is the maximum life of a general plan. And at that point, they want, everybody, the higher ups want us to look at it, recheck it, see if the community still wants what was in that plan back then, because it's the direction. And attending the meetings that they do have when they're discussing these, that's the biggest input you can have, because you're there, you're physically, putting your input in, and it's going in record. So I really encourage everybody getting involved in their general plan wherever they live.
Does that involve fire safety and stuff too?
I believe that they first did a shoreline plan. I'm not sure when it was, but it never got completed. And then they did it in 2008, 2009, and that was approved by the board. So this is an update from that. Mm-hmm. There have been a number of plans out there from Caltrans, all sorts of different agencies that have talked about, the Highway 20 corridor. So it could have been one of millions of plans that they've done out there. Okay. Next thing is the Klaus Park. So I spoke with Lars, who is in charge of public services, about the Klaus Park, which is right out here. And he had put in for some informal cleanup bids, and they came in much higher than he expected. So basically, they're having to prepare a formal bid request. I don't know if any of you ever were out on the property, but if you know any of the code enforcement issues like the Barrel Way property and things like that in Clear Lake Oaks, take that like times 30, and that's what they're dealing with out here in terms of cleanup. So they need to get some pricing. They do have a couple $1 million that was currently that was donated, possibly more from Mr. Cloud at the same time. So they do have money to do that. Right now, the park staff is currently working on the metal Quonset hut that's back there, and that's one of the only buildings that they'll be keeping. It's going to be used to store equipment, tools, et cetera, and it will also become a workshop. Once it's completed and they've made the facility safe, the park staff is going to start clearing existing roads and trails over here. And there are a lot of those that are already there. It's going to be an easy thing. Then they had a request for quotation for a landscape architecture planning consultant, which closed in December. And Lars hopes to enter into an agreement with the firm to lead the park visioning within the community on what we want to have over there, and an interim use plan for the development there. And that's basically it. If anyone has any questions. Some of the meetings would be open. He does have a small core of people that are going to take a look at laying this out, but they would be having this group do a visioning plan, you know, with the community. Yeah, there definitely will be community input on this. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I believe it'll stay on our agenda going forward.
Yeah, it's very exciting, you know.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing is the commercial cannabis report and the cannabis ordinance task force update. There's basically been no new information from December on the commercial cannabis projects in the E.R.T.H region. It stands at 19 projects, of which 12 are completed, and that includes 4 withdrawn closed violations, 2 denied, and 6 approved. And we have 7 in process. 2 are in the application stage. 1 is at the agency tribal review stage. Let me see. 1 has been uploaded to the clearinghouse for public comment, and 2 are headed to the Planning Commission, but there's no scheduled date yet. And that includes the new application that came in a month ago up on High Valley Road, which is a proposed 6 acres of outdoor cultivation. Any questions on any of that? Okay. The Cannabis Ordinance Task Force has not had a meeting since November 27th, and the schedule for 2024 has not been posted. They currently have an opening for 1 public member representing South County there. The newly proposed cannabis zoning and permitting table was presented to the Planning Commission in December, and the PC voted to send this on to the board for review. And basically, I think I have something here. This is, you can't see anything but colors, you know, here, but this is basically is a column with all the different zones. You know, you live in residential, most of you. There's also ag, you know, et cetera. And all of these things in color represent new places where they're going to be putting cannabis, new cannabis businesses that they want to include, or changes in permitting process. So there's quite a bit going on. The PC voted to send this onto the board for review, but they requested that a table be prepared outlining where wineries, tasting rooms, and wine events are allowed, as well as the level of permitting for comparison to the cannabis recommendations. Currently, several of these proposals are less stringent for cannabis than for wine grapes, and so that's one thing that they wanted them to consider. The board meeting has not been scheduled yet, but it will probably be in January. The new proposed activities that the task force is proposing include large cannabis cultivation, shared manufacturing, retail delivery, dispensaries, cannabis consumption lounges, and temporary events. And that's it. Any questions?
Do,
Are you tracking any data just for the community over the course of time at the state level around cannabis use and correlates of opioid use?
I'm sorry, cannabis use and what?
Growth of cannabis use correlated with opioid usage? Is anybody opioid crisis.
It's not something that's ever discussed in the task force. It's something that EJ may know more about. I have no idea. It's not anything that they discuss.
I kind of, okay, I was gonna say, it's kind of two different things, but yeah, okay. We'll get you some information on that shortly.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Holly. Tony, the next one was gonna be you.
Yeah, the only thing I have is we have a big meeting up in Spring Valley. Ooh, that thing's hot. Then you can't hear me. Oh, okay. We have a meeting up in Spring Valley with the water company. I don't know, we've talked about this before, about the recreation of the lake that used to exist up there. Is that me? Oh, okay. What the recreation of the lake that we have up there, they're gonna, I guess, present the plans to the community, and anybody wants to go up there and take a look at it. And I guess we have a starting date. Do we have a starting date?
We'll find that out tonight at 7 o'clock.
I thought it was supposed to be January 29th, but
It was, but that's all in flux now because of the Army Corps of Engineers.
of course. Okay. Sorry. My brother works with the Army Corps of Engineers all the time, and it's it's always like that. Anyway, they're gonna present the proposed lake and stuff, and give everybody an idea what's gonna go on up there. It doesn't make a lot of difference to this part of the community because it's a kind of mostly usage by the people that live up there, but we do have it available for improved fire safety and stuff like that when it goes in, so that'll be a big help for the community. But meetings up there, if you want to go see it, it's pretty cool. It's pretty expensive, but yeah, community center, yeah, tonight at 7. Yeah, the regular meeting, but tonight at 7. Yeah, if you want to get a peep about it before it starts. So I think that's pretty much it. So we've survived the PG&E. I don't know do you know how long ago?
Starting on Shasta now.
I thought they were already on Shasta.
We're starting to dig Shasta now.
All right. High Valley knows what that is. But if you don't have PG&E in your back door right now, it's kind of nice. We've got some slides and stuff again on the side of the hill, but they come out and take pretty good care of us. So quiet for New Year's. So that's all.
Very good, thank you. I don't see Chief Mike, is he here, or is he? No. I don't
Cindy's
see him.
here, isn't she? No. Give us a status on the fire station.
I'm Cindy Storrs. I live in Spring Valley. I'm the chaplain for the North Shore Fire Protection District. They have taken down the fence, which is good news. They're finishing up the painting inside. If you don't know, if you've just gone by and taken a look at that big metal building, at one end of it, there's a little house inside, 2-story house. That will be crew quarters, kitchen, conference room, so that's being painted, the flooring will go in. They're about to put the mini splits in, the sewer system, the septic system was approved and it's been covered up. As soon as the chief gets any kind of clearance from the county, he'll start putting engines out there.
Great, thank you. Okay, Supervisor, you were next.
So you were asking about the correlation between opioids and the cannabis in general, or cannabis permitted or illicit?
Well, no variable permitting
Or just use?
I think it correlated with use,
Mhm.
because there's more accessibility. I think the variable is accessibility, so it's with use, accessibility. Does that correlate
I think, and so what she asked was, is there, well, you have a microphone now,
I'll repeat it.
Okay.
Thank you. Just had a question about the correlation, if there is one that's being tracked at all, between marijuana usage and then also opioid usage. And I didn't know if there was any way in which usage and accessibility to marijuana is making it more likely that increased usage of opioids would be taking place. This is based on an old theory, probably back in the 1980s or before, and I don't know if it's being tracked by anybody, but I just wondered if you had any information about whether or not that's actually happening, or maybe that's not happening.
Well, I know that in the crop report, there was questions about even more when it comes to cannabis, like what the, and I know I'm steering off a little, but I just want to explain that how much data is not given at any time right now. It's so difficult because of the new paradigm of this whole thing. But because they can't really necessarily track where the cannabis goes, if it's going to, you know, regular, I guess, brick and mortar use, or if it's going to CBD oils, if it's going to pills, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, that use. So there, I know that that was in the crop report, they just had the amount that was grown according to the permits. There was nothing showing how much was earned off of it, if that makes sense. So I know that with that dynamic and that question and that, I guess you could say, it's not very, you don't have an actual number of it. So with that intact, I don't think there is. One thing I can do, though, is talk with Dr. Doohan and see if she knows anything, the new public health, the public health officer, Dr. Doohan, and see if she knows of anything like that, because I think there's got to be something, because what I do know is with the illegal grows, definitely there's a high amount of different people using it and involved with that, especially when you talk about Humboldt County, and if we're emulating those counties when it comes to those type of things. But when it comes to usage, that would be something that we'd have to look at with behavioral health, public health, or something like that. So I don't have an answer for you now, but I think that if I can get in touch with Dr. Doohan and ask her, you know, hey, do you have any type of information that I can give to folks when they ask this question? So I didn't want to skirt your question, but just wanted to give you some insight that what I do know about it, which is limited. But was there another question that someone brought up? I think you Holly, you did bring something up. One of the things you said I could probably elaborate on, was it the area plans? Area plans, right. And then, yeah, and Denise mentioned the amount of time recommended. Usually it's 5 to 10 years, but ours are really outdated in general. Like, I know that I was trying to advocate for ours to be done first, but of course, Lower Lakes hasn't been done since the 90s or the 80s or something, so it's like, okay, we gotta, we're on the back burner a little. But at the same time, I know that Director Turner is really motivated to work on this. I know that as a planning commissioner, I know that was one of the things, or the guidelines that I like to look at, especially when Dollar General started becoming a real big issue. I was on after the Dollar General here and in Nice, but they were trying in Middletown and Kelseyville and also Upper Lake. And so for us, one of our thoughts was that it had to comply with the area plan, and I know a lot of folks didn't even want one. So that was also the other thing. But that's just an example. There was also, I remember, a sign that they were looking at, and my thought process was, well, the town doesn't want the sign, you know, lit like that or as high as it was being promoted. Then I think that the area plan should guide what that is, and we as planning commissioners should implement what the area plan says. So that's why it's important. A lot of times, I'll give some kudos to Holly and Chuck and others that give me information before meetings, because they emphasize the area plans and also the community input about some of these projects that are intact. And if there's no comment or there's no input to these area plans, it goes unchecked. And people basically sometimes just put copy cutter projects from different areas in, thinking that this is an urban area, and it doesn't fit here. So, so that's why it's important to update it. There's also other things to think about, especially when we talked about cannabis and the exclusionary zones, community growth boundaries, or I think that's the better word for it, community growth boundaries and things like that. So, so yes, very important, and I know that when we had the last meeting that I was here, because I missed December, we talked about the possibility that it would only be like 2 meetings or something like that, and it would be very difficult for a lot of the community members from this area to go to it. And so I think, I don't know where we got with that, but I did talk to Maria. I wanted to see if we can have more, but again, I think they'll be here next month as well. I know that I got an email confirming that Marcus or Maria, one of the two, would be here next month, because I know we asked for a update on the roadmap task force. So be looking forward to that for next month. And so we'll hold that question as well for the area plans, and I will also, in the meantime, follow up and say, hey, can we get more meetings or something along those lines so we can get something done? Or we just have our own little workshop here and get ready for it, so we have everything lined out. We could even have a special meeting or whatever, or just do it, you know, however you want to do it. It's up to you all. I want to make sure you get your comments in and put it out there like that, because, you know, if it's not on there, you know, no comments made and it gets done and everyone's upset for good reason, right? So, so yeah, I hope that covers some of that for the area plans. There was a EPA Superfund site visit with the tribe. I was at the SURF meeting, that was a couple weeks back. By the time I got there, they were done. I wanted to be there with the tribe, because I didn't go on that aspect before. But they will be having another one. I'll attend that. So I want to get back to one thing I talked about a couple months back, a budget for each town hall. So before, there was a PG&E budget for $833.34, or you know how that goes, the 33, 34. Anyhow, there's 6 town halls. PG&E gave us a budget or a grant. Those are still sitting kind of dormant, right? I also decided that I wanted to give each town hall, you know, appropriate $10,000 between the town halls in my district, so that way you have funding to announce whatever the case, whatever you decide. The policy for PG&E is pretty explanatory on what you could use it for. And so we're just going to craft that into what you could use it for. That way you have a little more to work with, rather than just kind of, you know, just having the meeting and talking and things like that. I know that the Cobb Area Council, they have a little different bylaws and charters and whatnot, but at the same time, they do things like, they have their Blackberry Festival and things like that. So I don't know, I figured that might be a good thing. I know Jim Steele told me to do that a long time ago, but, you know, I figured, well, I better do it now, you know. So he said that was the intent when he initiated these, is to get to that point. So, so I agree, and I figured that it could be something that could really help getting the word out, getting people involved, and just getting people doing more in the community, which helps. So that's where that's coming in, and I think next month we can move forward with that and have a policy, so you guys can decide what you want to do and all of that. So, LG Sonic, I'm not sure if you're familiar. I know that there was a in the Blue Ribbon Committee meeting that we have, there was a proposal to do LG Sonic around the lake. What that is sonar. So they put these little buoys in the lake, and they provide sonar to help control the algae and whatnot. Supervisor Sabatier and myself brought it to the board to see if we can get this project done in the Keys and in Clear Lake, the channels, because they're the worst if you really look around the lake. And just long story short, well, there was going to be 28 buoys on both sides. We're also talking with, I sent the information to Clear Lake Oaks Water and asked them to look at it, to partner and see if they would want to work with the agency as well as Sonic and get one or two, because of the struggle that they have with water quality and whatnot. After further discussion in the Board of Supervisors, the hypolimnetic oxygenation project that was passed through the Blue Ribbon Committee last year, which should be either implemented this year should be this year, because the funding got approved last year. So, if you're not familiar with that, that was the project that UC Davis wants to put with oxygenation to see if it will work as a pilot program to control the algae. And with that intact, I didn't think it'd be a good idea to do the sonar and the oxygen, because then we don't know what really solved the problem, you know? It's like my uncle who has cancer says that he used cannabis, but he also, he also went to chemo. Like, what really solved the problem, right? He's saying cannabis, but we know it was probably chemo. So, bad analogy, but, so we decided to just start with Clear Lake and see how it works with them. Use the hypolimnetic oxygenation, which is 1 year anyhow, and we'll see how that goes, and if it doesn't do it, then we'll move forward with them, and if it doesn't work over in Clear Lake, then we know we got to do something else. The thought process for me is that we have all these different projects that are outstanding for years. We have the EPA Superfund site, we have the Middle Creek restoration, all of those different things that can help with quality of the water. And so, while those are sitting there dormant and we're still stuck with the algae everywhere, we got to try something in the meantime to control it. So I'm hoping these can be until we get to those projects. Of course, we know that the Middle Creek restoration, it's been said that would help with at least 30% of the water quality. One of the things Water Resources says as well is that it also falls on us. A lot of the things that flow into the storm drains and whatnot into the lake is what contributes to the bacteria or cyanobacteria in algae. So either or, back to LG Sonic, that's what's going to happen. I did want to do it in our area. Bruno and I were really pushing for it. And so, but to make sure that I can get the other supervisors to agree, it looks like we're going to go that route for now, but still be looking forward to it. If hypolimnetic oxygenation with UC Davis works or doesn't work, but that's where that is. Let's see. I'll stick with the stuff in this area first. Walker Ridge, I went over to Woodland on December 13th and basically made a statement of support to adding it to the Berryessa Snow Mountain National Monument. My main goal is the Walker Ridge windmill. I really didn't want to see that when they brought that forward. So it seems like a solution. I don't know if it still is or not, but still supporting that to change it to Moloch and add it to the Berryessa Snow Mountain National Monument. Moloch means Condor Ridge in the Cache Creek tribe, which is Yocha-Dehe, their language. A couple things happened last month too. I wanted to report, but I wasn't able to make it in December. There was community development came forward and presented a data software that they're working towards called OpenGov. Right now we work with what's called Acela. It's a little outdated, not outdated, but we've had it and no one's really figured out how to really maneuver it or make it work together with other departments and whatnot. So Maria basically started looking at OpenGov, which seems to be it's better in tracking data. It's better in working closely with other departments. Acela lacks that data tracking, and other counties that use it, or one county so far that I know of, Tuolumne County, the city of Lakeport, city of Clear Lake, city of San Rafael, those were presented to us, and that it'll improve the ability not only to track data, but for grant reporting and efficiency of permit processing. It'll have a robust public facial portal. So let's say that I'm, building a shed or something and I need a permit, I can go online and do this type of thing, pay with a different, a Stripe or something like that. They're looking at, they're working with the auditor controller to see how that can, correlate together and work, so that way we're not having to go to the desk all the time, if that makes sense. So that's what they're looking at as well. They're hoping it increases the case management capacity, of course, and the billing options. So along with that, there's another one. and I have it right here. It is the, let's see, sorry. There it is. So there's administrative citations, and I'm pretty sure we always discuss code enforcement and what we struggle with when it comes to code enforcement, and that's finding and holding people accountable for it. And so community development came forward the same day, and they're going to go after they actually found the vendor, and they were given permission to just work and get it done. So they don't need our approval on this. They are working with the code enforcement. There's not code enforcement, but there's a system that will provide collections, and it's called Data Ticket Incorporated. It's fairly cheap, actually, so there's not as much that we have to pay out. It's $2,400 a year, and they collect like $250 on like each ticket they do and whatnot. So now, I guess the best part about it is you can send it to Franchise Tax Board, and so that way people can actually feel it hit them and be held accountable. And I think Clear Lake uses this and some other different municipalities. So this is going to be a real help, and I'm hoping it gives us the opportunity to deal with things like Barrel Way and other places, because and even with the dumping, you know, if we can actually, we track the people, we find the license plate, we find the people's letters in the mail and whatnot that's in the garbage. But with this intact now, I think that there's a tool to actually get this done. And so I told Maria how happy I was about this, and I'd like to see it as soon as possible. And anyone that asks questions, like, no, I don't care, we need it, so I want to get this thing moving. So let's see.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So they're gonna go after the illegal cannabis grows?
I wasn't talking about that, but it could be, yeah.
I thought that's what Marcus had said, that they were gonna.
Could be.
For that, and also the unpaid taxes on properties and parcels and stuff like that.
No, actually, it might be the illegal cannabis, but I don't know about the unpaid taxes or whatnot. I think that's already in
I think
place.
the cleanup citations and stuff too.
Oh, abatements and whatnot, things like that? Yeah, I think with that, but I don't, not the delinquent taxes, if you will. I think that's done its own way.
We
But-
already do that, huh?
Yeah, but the illegal cannabis, you're right. I think that's part of it as well. And I think there's already measures in place in different ordinances, but now they'll be able to use this to collect.
And I think when I talked with him, he said that the system we have doesn't really pick it up as well, and this does like the whole thing. It's like a billing company.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're right, this is gonna help with that. You know, not gonna say it's gonna be a magic wand, but it gets us closer to where we wanna get, right? Yeah. Last thing I think I'll cover is PG&E Lake Pillsbury. We did a letter responding to PG&E's initial surrender draft application and plan, and so basically just said the same thing we've been saying. We're not going away from that. I know there's some frustration among some of the citizens of Lake County that think we're basically kind of like giving up. We're just preparing for the worst case scenario, but we keep saying the same thing. We don't think that PG&E should be allowed, or PG&E should basically be held accountable for what they're abandoning, and they need to make sure that they have everything in place before they do so. And if not, FERC needs to make sure they have that, or find out why they need the dam to stay, you know. But that's what we're doing. That's where we've stood on, and that's what our letter said. I know that there was a group called Cal Wild that came and asked us for support on a grant, and whether the dam comes down or doesn't, the grant doesn't affect it either way. But I know that in some thoughts of other people that we were basically saying, no, we give up. It's not that. Either if the dam stays, they still get this grant, they still do what they were gonna do. So it was unfortunate though, because the grant wording that they had stated some things that weren't accurate. So we asked them to change that, and they did. So that's where that's at. In the meantime, still meeting with like the California State Water Board. We're meeting with Fish and Wildlife. I had a meeting the same day as the Berryessa Snow Mountain Monument. On the 13th, I had a meeting with the counties of Sonoma, Mendocino, and Humboldt, along with California Department of Fish and Wildlife, basically telling them the same thing. I think they're waiting for us to be like, okay, we understand it's going to come down. And I told them, this doesn't mean that I agree with you yet. I'm not saying that at all, so don't take this. I'm just talking with you all. So I have to kind of give that disclaimer to them each time I talk. But either or, that's where we're at with that. Yeah, I'll stop there. I think I have more. I don't really have more. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any status on the road map for the roads around here?
The roads?
The stuff you know?
Yeah. So, I don't know if we wanted to invite him, didn't we, again, or something like that? I know that Central Region wanted to talk with him as well, and so did Upper Lake. And he actually came to Upper Lake, but it was about something else. So it went, if you don't remember, it went from five years to 10 years, and it switched its way around. And I think Bruno was here, and he said, it's my fault, because I asked a question or whatever. But further down the road, I've been talking with Scott more and more, and apparently the plan that's in place is going to be contractual work, but the Public Works Department can still work on roads from the county staff standpoint. And so I let him know, like, look, can I get some potential roads that we can work on then? Because, you know, this roadmap, I mean, this road plan, it gives us no hope. We basically don't see us getting done ever, you know, because we don't know what it looks like in 2030, right? How do we know that by then they're not just going to go and do another one and go around the same way? So he assured me that we can put together some roads to do within the next year, but want to keep meeting with him to hold him accountable to that. And so each time I see him, I talk to him about it, and yeah. Yeah. So, you all want to see him here with Maria, or would you rather? I mean, we could probably do both in one meeting. I think, right? You think? What do you guys think? Yeah. Okay. Well, we can invite him. Yeah. And then, well, also, and because he has said it even publicly, even in Upper Lake, that no, we still can do road projects. It just means that the people that we did the plan with, those are going to be the contracted workers doing those roads. Yes, Holly.
I think one of the big issues is that there are a lot of roads that aren't included at all.
Yeah.
That are just not on the list. So those are the ones that really need to be looked at, you know, particularly like Cerrito, particularly since there's so much truck traffic that goes down. There's nothing in Glenhaven at all.
Hmm.
And yet there are roads that they have on there. For instance, the one up at Junction Plaza, which dead ends because there's a gate across it, so there's no public access, and there's just cannabis projects after it. But that is one of the roads that's, you know, going to be paved. And I think that the big thing is to address these ones that are crucial that aren't on the list.
And that's one of the things that I brought up to him as well, because I know in Upper Lake, there was like 2 roads that were going. I was like, no one uses these roads. He goes, no, that was the contractor who did the map, and so I'm worried that maybe those will still be done, right? So yeah,
That's the whole thing. It's on the list, and so
yeah,
it really needs to be addressed.
it does. And I guess the only upside is that we're not first, so it won't get done before. But in the meantime, when we get him here, let's get those bullet points and tell him about it. Yeah.
Along that vein, and I mentioned it before, but we need to pressure the EPA because they're going to be, you know, cutting up sulfur dendron, et cetera. And if they start getting soil from Spring Valley,
Those roads as well.
it's going to have to be, you know, dealt with too.
Right, and that's the main thing, that each time they come before us, we hit that, and I know that you do too. And I wasn't at the meeting at Elam, or I'm pretty sure they would have brought it up as well, so, but, yeah, if, that's the main thing we need to hit them with, because it'll tear up the roads, the trucks. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Mike?
On the road maps, there also needs to be some coordination with the different utility companies, because you don't want to be digging the road up the year after you redo the road. And I know being on the water board here, nobody's ever contacted us about any roads in this area yet. I don't know how many years out they are.
Oh, I did, I did, I talked to Diane.
Well, no, I mean, nobody from
No.
Oh, okay,
So have Public Works,
because there needs to be some coordination, so we aren't planning to dig the road up or somebody else.
Okay.
Dig the road up the year after it's done.
okay, so we need to get that,
Scott, when he was here before, he said that would happen now. It hasn't happened for us yet, but then I'm not sure what year this area's in.
yeah,
It was a 5-year plan at that time.
yeah. We were this year, or we were this year with the first one, yeah.
There are other grant projects which would be down the road about that time probably, which would be digging up some roads.
For water, right? Okay. All right. You're on the water board, right?
Yes.
Did they get that information to you yet, or was it past the meeting?
As far as I know, nothing from,
I think I might have,
has ever come to us.
oh, no, I'm sorry, for LG Sonic. I sent it to Diane, but I think I might have sent it after the board meeting. Yeah, so it'll probably come to your next board meeting, yeah. But again, it's not something we're looking at for Clear Lake Oaks yet, but just to prepare for it. Maybe you guys can work with it on your own, just for water quality. Because I emphasized how important it might have been that time we had the fire and the water was so low during the drought. And I think one more delivery of water probably would have affected the whole town's water because of the boil order that was intact. I think that was, 2020, 21? Remember, we had that fire in the town here? Yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so I mean, with the water quality, that might have played a different role, but again, it's something just we're working on. Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
all right.
So, pretty much everything else on here we can't really do. Our next Earth meeting will be Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, same time, 4 o'clock. If there's any announcements, we can probably do that still. Does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share with us? Okay.
What about Firewise? Yeah,
You're getting a little
Is that the
smile,
can
but-
of worms? I know. How did the funding?
Nothing to
thing go?
report?
How did the funding thing go? Through all the letters and stuff you had to write, and they said, oh no, you gotta go to this other department and blah, blah, blah.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
You refiled for Firewise
Oh.
for our area.
It finally worked. We do have our certificate for this coming year.
Okay, cool.
It only took me 6 weeks.
Well, enjoy your downtime then.
I'm all for it.
So Tammy Alexei, North Coast Opportunities, and we've got a lot of things coming down the pipe. We're really trying to, again, grow our Neighbor Fest, which basically is a block party to promote preparedness. I talked to the Moose Lodge today. In February, we're going to do 2 to 3 events where we're trying to bring leaders from each community together to host their own block party in their neighborhood. So more to come on that. I'm hoping to be back here February 23rd for just an orientation on how you can do that in your community. So if you're interested, please find me, or you can always look on the NCO webpage or in Facebook at NCO EPIC, EPIC, Emergency Preparedness in Communities. And then we're having some CERT trainings. We're really trying to grow those CERT teams, which is California Emergency Response Team, or I'm sorry, wrong one. community emergency response team. So it's basically a way for you to help out your neighborhood first, your family first, your neighborhood second, and then your community third. So just a way for you to be better prepared. They're like 10 to 12 hours online, and then you come to a 2-day skills training. So we're looking at having those also. We're really trying to just grow those teams so that everybody in Lake County is more prepared in every area. I think that's about it.
Anything else? All right. Well, again, thank you for coming out. I'm definitely looking and recruiting for our board member up here. We could have had a quorum. One more person today. Come on. Okay.
I noticed looking at online at the pictures of the other districts is they all have full houses, most of them.
Upper Lake's missing one. Surf is wavering on one or two, but.
That's not a lot, I mean, compared to our,
We're only missing one, right? We're only missing one. Yeah.
Missing one.
We're only missing
I
one.
know you're missing a couple.
Today, we're missing
We have the same issues as the others.
Yeah, we just have one vacancy.
People get sick, people's family have family emergencies.
COVID didn't help.
No, none of it helps. And to be honest, this is a volunteer position, so it's, beggars can't be choosers. We have to accept the help we have. Do the best we can with it. But thank you, Thomas, for all of your help. You're welcome. Because I know how much you do. All right, so with that, I can't adjourn. I like that everybody came out today, and I hope to see you next month with enough people to do business.
Thank you.
Thank you.